Darwin, perched on the edge of the Timor Sea, is a city defined by its relationship with the elements. Here, the wind and water shape not just the landscape, but the very spirit of the people who call it home. This northern capital is no stranger to the annual threat of cyclones. The city's residents know that every year the winds may bring both beauty and danger. Each year, from October to May, the city prepares for storms that can turn paradise into peril. The air grows heavy with anticipation as families and businesses brace for what may come. This season, the threat was Cyclone Fina, a storm that began as a distant swirl on weather maps, but soon became a looming danger, its path uncertain and its power growing with every passing day. As Fina approached, Darwin's familiar routine kicked in. Supermarket shelves emptied, cyclone screens went up, and the city buzzed with a nervous energy. People hurried to secure their homes and gather supplies, knowing that preparation could make all the difference. In these moments, neighbours checked on each other, lending a hand to the vulnerable and sharing advice. The sense of community grew stronger as the storm drew near. The city's resilience is built on hard lessons from the past, with strict building codes and a community mindset of readiness. Decades of experience have taught Darwin to respect the wind, but never to fear it. As November 2025 ended, all eyes were on Fina. Would it be another close call or a true test of Darwin's defences? The uncertainty weighed heavily, and every update was met with anxious hope. The sky darkened, winds rattled windows, and the city braced itself. The familiar sounds of the storm signalled that the waiting was nearly over. Preparations were complete. Now all that remained was to wait. Streets emptied, and families gathered indoors, listening to the howling wind and hoping for the best. What would Cyclone Fina bring to Darwin's doorstep? In this city shaped by storms, every cyclone is a reminder of nature's power and the enduring strength of those who live here. On Saturday, November 22nd, Cyclone Fina struck Darwin as a powerful Category 3 storm, marking the beginning of a night that would be etched into the city's memory for years to come. The sky darkened ominously as the cyclone's outer band swept in, and a sense of anxious anticipation gripped the community. Winds roared at over 200 kilometers per hour, tearing through the city with relentless force. Roofs were ripped from homes, and debris became dangerous projectiles, battering anything in their path. The sound was deafening, a constant howl that seemed to shake the very foundations of Darwin. Rain lashed in blinding sheets, flooding streets and turning neighbourhoods into rivers. Water quickly rose, submerging cars and sweeping away anything not firmly anchored. The relentless downpour blurred the line between land and sea. Inside, families huddled together, listening to the storm's fury and hoping their preparations would hold. Children clung to parents, and everyone waited anxiously, counting the seconds between thunderclaps and praying for the storm to pass. Power failed, plunging entire neighbourhoods into darkness. The only light came from flashes of lightning, briefly illuminating a battered world outside. Each bolt revealed the chaos, trees bent double, debris swirling, and the city at the mercy of nature's wrath. By dawn, the worst had passed, but the city was transformed, trees uprooted, roads blocked, and the lush landscape left in ruins. The silence that followed was almost as shocking as the storm itself, broken only by the distant sound of emergency sirens. The immediate danger was over, but the true scale of Fina's impact was just beginning to emerge. Emergency crews moved quickly, assessing damage and searching for those in need of help. Darwin had survived the night, but the scars were everywhere. Streets were littered with debris, homes and businesses bore the marks of the cyclone's fury, and the city's infrastructure was battered and broken. The community's resilience would now be put to the test. Neighbours reached out to help one another, and volunteers began the long process of clearing debris and rebuilding what had been lost. The story of Cyclone Fina was only just beginning, as Darwin faced the daunting challenge of recovery and the long road to healing. As Fina approached, the atmosphere at Darwin International Airport shifted from routine to tense anticipation. The sky darkened, winds picked up, and a sense of urgency swept through the terminals. Darwin International Airport shut down, an unmistakable sign of the storm's seriousness. The departure boards, once filled with destinations, now flashed with rows of cancellations. The usually bustling hub fell silent, its runways deserted under stormy skies. The hum of engines and chatter of travellers faded, replaced by the howl of the wind outside. Hundreds of travellers were stranded, their plans upended as hotels filled and flights were cancelled. Many searched for shelter, while others anxiously checked their phones for updates. The closure underscored the cyclone's threat. There would be no way in or out until the danger passed. Security teams worked tirelessly to keep everyone safe, blocking entrances and guiding people to secure areas. For many, the airport's shutdown was the moment the reality of Fina truly hit home. Faces showed worry, frustration, and disbelief as the scale of the disruption became clear. Even after the storm moved on, the airport remained closed for safety checks and debris removal. Crews inspected every inch of the runways, searching for hazards left behind by the cyclone's fury. Reopening was a careful process, prioritizing passenger and crew safety above all. Every system was tested, and every precaution taken before flights could resume. The city's isolation was a stark reminder of nature's power. With roads and skies closed, Darwin felt cut off from the world, waiting for the storm to pass. Patience was required as Darwin slowly reconnected with the outside world. Travellers and locals alike watched and waited, hoping for news that life could return to normal. The airport's reopening would become a symbol of recovery, marking the city's resilience and the beginning of a return to everyday life. Every cyclone in Darwin stirs memories of Cyclone Tracy, the 1974 disaster that devastated the city. Tracy's legacy is a constant reminder of nature's fury and the price of underestimating a storm. Survivors of Tracy still recall the terror and destruction, their stories shaping Darwin's cyclone education. As Fina approached, the fear of history repeating itself was real, but so was the city's resolve. Tracy led to strict building codes and a culture of preparedness, making modern Darwin one of the world's most storm-resistant cities. Fina was powerful, but the city's defences held. Improved forecasting and emergency response made all the difference. Fina was not another Tracy. It was a test that Darwin passed. The lessons of the past had been learned. As Fina neared, emergency agencies launched a coordinated response, keeping the community informed and prepared. Residents were urged to activate emergency plans, stock up on essentials, and secure their homes. Public storm shelters opened for those in vulnerable areas. Warnings grew urgent. Shelter now, stay away from windows and don't be fooled by the cyclone's eye. After the storm, clear advice continued. Beware of fallen power lines and avoid unnecessary travel. The official response was swift, detailed, and effective. It was a textbook example of disaster management focused on saving lives. Darwin's safety was no accident. It was the result of planning and action. As daylight broke, the extent of Fina's destruction became clear. Ancient trees were toppled, streets buried in debris, and many homes suffered roof and water damage. Emergency crews worked non-stop, clearing roads and responding to calls for help. The power grid was hit hard, leaving tens of thousands without electricity. Power and Water Corporation crews began the massive task of assessing and repairing the network. Despite the widespread damage, there were no serious injuries or deaths, a testament to preparation and strong building codes. The financial cost would be high, but the community's safety was the true victory. Darwin was battered, but its people were safe. For many, the most immediate impact was life without power. Homes grew hot and uncomfortable, food spoiled, and families relied on battery radios for news. The darkness heightened the sense of isolation, but also brought neighbours together. Power crews worked tirelessly, prioritizing hospitals and major infrastructure before restoring homes. Generators hummed in some neighborhoods, while others adapted to a simpler, unplugged existence. People shared resources, checked on the vulnerable, and helped each other clean up. The hardship of blackout fostered community spirit. Even in the dark, Darwin's resilience shone through. The storm brought struggle, but also unity. With the storm gone, recovery began. Emergency crews and residents cleared debris, restoring access and order to the city. The community's self-reliance was on full display. Neighbors helped neighbors, and cleanup became a collective effort. Damaged homes were patched, insurance claims filed, and government recovery centers opened to support those in need. The airport's reopening marked a turning point, signaling Darwin's reconnection with the world. Recovery was about more than rebuilding. It was about healing and pride in survival. The city's spirit grew stronger through adversity. Fina tested Darwin, but could not break it. Together, the community moved forward. Cyclone Fina's story is one of triumph, not tragedy. Decades of preparation, strict building codes, and a culture of readiness saved lives. The people of Darwin acted on warnings, prepared their homes, and looked out for each other. Fina proved that resilience is built on action, not luck. As climate change brings more intense storms, Darwin's example is a blueprint for other cities. Strong standards, clear communication, and community engagement make survival possible. We can't control the weather, but we can control our response. Readiness is our strongest shield against the storm. Cyclone Fina left scars, but also a legacy of confidence and hope.